Faith First Soccer Academy is basically an all-inclusive resort, you could even call it, right? It's a one-stop shop that if you want to play the sport at the next level, anything you could possibly need is there.
Let's talk about faith for a second, because I know this is really important to you.
Yep.
Your new startup, your new venture is called Faith First Academy.
Faith First Soccer Academy.
Soccer Academy.
Yep.
How does faith fit into this journey, and how does faith feed your current project?
Yes, looking back, faith is probably the only thing that mattered in my whole life and this whole journey. You can remove religion from it. Obviously, my mom and I, we grew up going to church. Didn't mean anything to me. I couldn't tell you a single thing I learned in church growing up. So it's pretty much non-existent. My faith was non-existent until that Achilles rupture, going into my second year with sporting. That's when kind of everything finally hit me, everything all at once. I was like, why does this stuff keep happening to me, man? And I think at that point, that was probably my rock bottom, right?
Were you angry?
Oh yeah. Extremely angry at God or whoever our creator was at the time. Everything that I had been through in my life. Obviously at that point in time, both of my parents, I obviously consider my second mom, Josephine Walker, who died of liver cancer, to be my second mom. Both of them are passed away at that point. Both my brothers were killed in a car accident. Had the fluke injury, missing that much long in 3 years of my career. And then this, right? And I was just pissed off at the world. I was just mad. I was angry. And I'll never forget, I was just sitting there bawling, and I'm not a big crier. I was sitting there bawling at dinner with my wife, her mom, and then my godmother, Sarah, who I say is my third mom, And I made some super ignorant comment about, when I forgive God. They're telling me, Court, maybe you should start going to church, maybe dive into the gospel, maybe try something else. What you're doing ain't working. And I made some ignorant comment about saying, no, when I forgive God, I'll do that. That was the changing point for everything for me, because I think I was, 26 at that time, 27 years old, 26 or 27. So I'm a full blown adult. And up to that point, I had not changed anything in my life. And then it was just sort of rock bottom for me. And then I just really dove in to the Bible. I just wanted to understand the Old Testament, how God could be so cruel and put people through very difficult things, right? Even though you're good people, put you through trauma. And trust me, everything that I've been through in my life, there's millions of people out there that go through much more, right? So it was very hard for me to comprehend how a loving God could do that to people. So I really needed to dive into the Old Testament and learn about God and how he could do it. And then once I read the Old Testament, I was like, okay, this is starting to make sense, right? You do this, God will kill you for it. You did it. And so I was started to ask questions. I still wasn't faithful. I still wasn't religious, but at least I had some understanding of why all of this bad stuff could happen to me, right? That was the start of my faith journey. That was the start of me working on myself. And then the rest was history from that point.
Yeah. And then how does that feed into the Soccer Academy?
Yes. So it's a good question. So I think the thing that I hated about church for the longest time is all churches for the longest time is that I never believed in giving money to the church ever. I was like, they're just taking money from people. And the other thing, I was like, I see the people that are going to church on Sunday, but I see what you're doing on Monday, right? And it's so contradicting, right? And so for the longest time, I had this really bad taste in my mouth about faith, religion. And then the pastor at Life Church, Craig Groeschel, obviously he's the pastor at a huge Christian church. And he started off one of my first days of going to church saying that we are faithful, not religious. And I was like, whoa, this is one of the biggest countries in our biggest churches in the country, and you're going to stand up there and say you're not religious? Like, let me hear more. Like, let me hear more. And I think at that time, I distinguished the difference between faith and religion. And I think, he spent a lot of the sermon saying that religion just continues to divide everybody. There's no unity. We find everything in the world to just continue to divide ourselves. And faith is the opposite, right? It's sort of bringing in everybody. And I said, you know what? I can get behind that. I said, everybody goes through different trauma. They have different cultural backgrounds. They have different religions, right? Their upbringing is different. Why can't we find a way to bring us all together instead of just finding multiple ways to divide all of us? So that's why it's called Faith First Soccer Academy and not Christian Soccer Academy or Catholic Soccer Academy. Like, it's meant to welcome everybody. And I think that's a big part of my journey is my mom, our whole family at that point that were teachers, they were all about bringing everybody together, right? That's why they're high school teachers, right? So being able to sort of continue that mission that they had through the academy, even though we're prioritizing faith, is a huge blessing. And obviously it is my purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're just introducing somebody to the concept of the academy, what is it?
Yes. So Faith First Soccer Academy is basically an all-inclusive resort, you could even call it, right? It's a one-stop shop that if you want to play the sport at the next level, anything you could possibly need is there. And I do mean anything, right? So it's like the soccer fields, the weight rooms, the fitness component, there's the dining hall, there's the academic space, the tutoring, the sports psych help, right? Becky Haynes with Sporting KC, our sports psychologist, she sees a lot of our athletes. The nutritionist, there's barber, right? Barbershop, the recovery room, the players lounge, the pool, so when you really think about, hey, what would you really need to have one place where you could accomplish all your dreams with the sport? This is Faith First Soccer Academy, right? Currently, right now, if you need help on nutrition, you got to go find it elsewhere. If you need extra training, you got to go elsewhere. If you need help on the fitness, you definitely got to go to a different coach, right? So we're trying to create one space that offers all of it, but making sure that the foundation of what we're doing is good human beings, right? Character development and all of that, right? We want the foundation to be strong like that, so that everything after that would just take care of itself.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Where are you in the process? It sounds like it's still getting off the ground. You're developing, or where are you with the application?
Yes, so we already have the building. Renovations are pretty much done. We only have to add a couple restrooms. All the programs are set, right? So our faith-based program, the academics, the tutoring partnership that we have, everything is set. Now it's just about getting everything actually started. So we want to align it with the actual school year itself. Academics are a huge component of it. So August is when our real start date is focused on. We already have everything kind of set up. Obviously, a big component is raising the money. We have a huge scholarship program where we want to scholarship kids that can't afford it, inner city kids, and training for the kids. Obviously, this pay-to-play system is very unique to the United States. Okay, it's free to play soccer everywhere else in the world. We are the only place that, of course, uses it as an opportunity to monetize and make money off the kids, right? So we are trying to nip that in the butt and change it and really fundraise to be able to scholarship the kids and pay for stuff. So obviously the fundraising component is huge.
And this is in Kansas City?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Very cool.